good in their communities and how many people they've touched, but also what they've been through individually. You know, we had a Holocaust survivor that survived the Holocaust, but met this, you know, this nonsensical end for no reason at all. And it's scary when we think about our lives and our mortality. We get up in the morning and we think we're fine and the day's going to be good, and it ends. And we see that every day, unfortunately, more so every day. And we can argue the reasons for all this, and we can ask why. But at the end of the day, I think it makes more sense to stand up together and to rise and to ask, how can we make a difference in stopping this? How can we advocate for better health care so that people that are mentally troubled can get the help they need? How can we advocate for better gun control? How can we advocate for a better world? And I think that's what we are all doing by just coming in today. I'd also, allow me to share a phrase that I heard that moved me to the core and what I believe we all represent today. I don't know if many of you saw the CNN interview that Anderson Cooper conducted with, I should say, the executive director of the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh, Wasi Muhammad, and with Rabbi James Gibson of Temple Sinai in Pittsburgh. And they were discussing how the Muslim community and the Jewish community came together in the wake of this, and that it was not the first time that they stood together in solidarity, that in fact the Jewish community had helped the Muslim community through many difficult times in the past in Pittsburgh. But what touched me was something that Rabbi Gibson actually said, and he said that history has divided us, meaning the Jewish and the Muslims, but faith has brought us together. And that's a very profound thing that we should consider and absorb and live by. So thank you very much for coming in today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your love of faith and love of man, and we look forward to a great program today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Beharry. The event on October 27th was an attack on all religions, not just the Jewish faith. As Naveen pointed out, we are joined by our faith. And over the last few days, we've attended so many events where we have come together to stand against this tragic event, the hatred that it represented, and to be in solidarity with all of us who worship and practice in our various religions. So we mourn with the Jewish community this tragic event, and we mourn the loss of those that died. We are all one people: Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Baha'i, Hinduism. All of us are one people. We all came from Adam and Eve, so we are united. Our hearts go out to the families that have suffered this tragic loss, to all those who have been affected. I learned when I attended the interfaith event at the temple in Redlands that two of the people that died were grandparents of some students that attended, a student that attends the University of Redlands. So this is something that actually hits us here locally as well. All of us have stood together in the past, and now we stand together again to speak out and to join, to stand up against these terrible tragedies. These events could happen to any of us. The Jewish community, the Muslim community have been facing lots of adversity in the last few years, last few centuries. Various Christian sects at one point or another have also faced challenges and oppression. And sadly, this isn't going to stop. The only way to fight this and to be against it is to stand together and to promote solidarity and to promote unity, regardless of the faith that we come from. We all worship the same way. We are seeking the same rewards and the same peace So we are here together today to mourn those that were lost. I would like to read the names of those that were killed. Get the list here. Joyce Fenberg, 75, of Oakland, City of Pittsburgh. Richard Gottfried, 65, of Ross Township. Ross Mallinger, 97, of Squirrel Hill, City of Pittsburgh. Jerry Rabinowitz, 66, of Edgewood Borough. Cecil Rosenthal, 59, of Squirrel Hill, City of Pittsburgh. David Rosenthal, 54, brother of Cecil, of Squirrel Hill, City of Pittsburgh. Bernice Simon, 84, of Wilkinsburg. Sylvan Simon, 86, husband of Bernice, of Wilkinsburg. Daniel Stein, 71, of Squirrel Hill, City of Pittsburgh. Melvin Wax, 88, of Squirrel Hill, City of Pittsburgh. And Irving Younger, 69, Mount Washington, City of Pittsburgh. If we could all bow our heads for a moment of silence. Thank you. When I first heard this list at the temple in Redlands, I was struck by how elderly these people are. And as my wife pointed out, Rose Mallinger, 97, surviving the Holocaust and now being killed at worship on Sabbath. Elderly people coming to worship at their temple, just like we go to our churches on Sundays or go to the mosque on Friday, and this act of violence happening. We know that these events sadly occur throughout the world, and what hurts even more is that these were people practicing their religion in their temple of worship, innocently praying to God for their needs when they were struck down. The results in the city of Pittsburgh, amazing, how all the faiths immediately came together. The churches, the mosques, all came to support. On the CNN news interviews, it was pointed out how the different faiths actually came to the temple to try to support as best as they can on the day of the event. People from the mosque, people from the churches came to try to support those that were in need. In Islam, it is believed that those that die fighting in the cause of God immediately go to heaven, that they're martyrs. These people would be considered so. They were in a place of worship, praying to God, and they were struck down during their act of worship. So their reward in our faith is that of heaven because of what they have gone through. We have so many similarities between our faiths, the Abrahamic faiths, verbatim texts in the Quran and the Torah, and chapters in the Bible. Just amazing how similar they are. All of us worship from a monotheistic point of view. That is a strong component of our tradition. So we are united in that concept. Recently here at the mosque, we had a Day of Abraham celebration, and we had people come from the synagogues, from the churches, to come and share our unity in the prophet Abraham as a founding father of our different religions. So this relationship that we have together is not something that's new. It's been around for a long time, and we have worked together here in our community. We attend events at the synagogues, we attend events at the churches, and vice versa. Coming to the mosque here, it's always open to all. Every year we have the Ramadan Iftar that is open to the community, and we welcome people of different faiths coming to join us in our celebration of the month of Ramadan. There's a passage in the Quran that applies to this situation. It's from Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 32. It follows the story of Cain and Abel, which we believe was the first murder. Why did this happen? Again, as was pointed out, we don't always understand the whys, but this is God's decree on how things are to be. Verse 32, because of this, referring to the murder of Abel by Cain, did we ordain unto the children of Israel that if anyone slays a human being, unless it be in punishment for murder or for spreading corruption on the earth, it shall be as though he had slain all mankind. Whereas if anyone saves a life, it shall be as though he saved the lives of all mankind. And indeed there came unto them our apostles with all evidence of truth. Yet behold, notwithstanding all this, many of them go on committing all manner of excesses on earth. So this passage pointing out the uniqueness and the importance of one individual, one soul. If one individual is killed, it's as if all mankind is slain. One person. We represent, again, a combined grace of God. God breathed his soul into us, and that's how we were created. And if anyone saves a life, it shall be as though he had saved the lives of all mankind. So saving one life and preventing the death of one individual is as if you saved all of mankind. So this concept we need to apply and need to promote, that all mankind has sanctity and every individual is important. Another tradition from our religion of Islam regarding the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. A funeral procession passed in front of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and he stood up in honor of that person that was going to the grave. When he was told that it was the coffin of a Jew, he said, is it not a living being, a soul? So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, more than 1,000 years ago, promoting that interfaith connection, or promoting that solidarity of all human beings, he stood up for the Jewish person that was going to his grave and said, is it not a living being, a soul, just like all of us? And now I would like to start inviting those that have come to give a few words. Let me first introduce Mayor Pro Tem Lynn Kennedy. Is she here yet? Nope, not quite yet. Okay. So we will start off then with, appropriately, I think, Rabbi Zari. Rabbi Zari is a rabbinical student at Ziegler School for Rabbinic Studies in Los Angeles, California. She will graduate with a concentration in Halakha, Jewish law, and is fascinated by how the Jewish law is an intersection of culture, wisdom, and logic. She worked as a computer engineer for 15 years, where she got a first-hand experience of difficulty we have balancing religious traditions within a secular corporate environment. She comes from the temple in Ontario. Welcome.
I'm so proud to see my congregants here. Thank you. Salam alaikum. Thank you for reaching out and inviting us here. This is just the way it should be, and it's amazing and it's wonderful. So I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for organizing this and for inviting me to everybody. You know, you mentioned the connection with the Redlands, and the truth is, the Jewish community is very small, and everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. My own nephew is a computer science major at Carnegie Mellon. He's the president of AEPI, which is the Jewish fraternity. He goes to Tree of Life. They have a lot of events there. So it was definitely, you know, it was definitely like, oh, you know, so everybody kind of felt it, which is the way it is. Everyone's connected. And so these are the words that, I mean, modified somewhat, but these are the words that I gave to Temple Shalom on Saturday. It is hard to create and so easy to destroy. I've always disliked how people who are bullying, aggressive, and violent are seen as strong, macho, strong, while people who are sweet and nurturing and peaceful and compromising are seen as weak. The truth is exactly the opposite. It takes strength to create a life. It takes strength to nurture and maintain human bonds, to build community. It is weak to behave hatefully, destructively. It was a pathetic skull who hid behind a gun and shot unarmed citizens in prayer. In synagogue this week, we read a portion of the Torah every week. We read about Rebecca, our second matriarch. Rebecca, in our tradition, is associated with chesed, acts of loving kindness. Abraham, the story goes, Abraham wanted a wife for his son. And so he dispatches his servant Eliezer to return to Abraham's homeland to find one. Eliezer is not only a servant, he's a beloved servant, and and it's a very strong bond. So he adds one requirement to the quality of a wife. He wants Isaac's wife to be a person of chesed, of kindness. So Eliezer, Abraham's servant, positions himself by a well. He makes his camels kneel, and he waits. Immediately, this beautiful woman walks up, and she fills her wells with pitchers. And Eliezer, kind of approaches her timidly and says, "Please, please, let me just sip a little bit from your pitcher." And Rebecca says, "Of course." And she gives him all that Eliezer could drink. And then she says, "My dear Lord, let me water your camels." And so she goes down, and she comes up, and she lets all the camels drink all the water can as well. And I've not seen this, but I've been told when camels drink, they don't just sip. After a long thing, they like huge amounts of gallons of water. So this was like a big thing that a lot of work that Rebecca did to give some animals some relief. Abraham's servant sees this, and he realizes he's found the right wife. She is kind, she is generous, she is giving, she goes out of her way to do good for the stranger in her midst. After the Pittsburgh shooting, the perpetrator was taken to the hospital. He was still screaming when he rushed into the emergency room, "I just want to kill Jews. I want to kill all Jews." Wounded, he's on the bed screaming this. A mostly Jewish team tended to him and saved his life. The team was headed by Dr. Jeff Cohen, president of the hospital, and a congregant at Eitz Chaim, the Tree of Life. In an interview, which everyone should find, Dr. Cohen speaks about meeting and treating the man who had just murdered his friends. He says the shooter was just like everybody else, some mother's son. Later in the interview, he states, "My job isn't to judge him. My job is to take care of him." Now, I only watched one 2-minute interview with Dr. Jeff Cohen, but I'd like to nominate him as Model Religious Person of the Year. Our job as religious people is to bring God's will down to earth. In Judaism, the term is tikkun olam, repairing and perfecting the world, and to see each human being as an image of God, a being deserving dignity and respect. As religious people, our job is not to judge, even though we do it so often. Our job isn't to place blame on this situation or that. Our job is to educate, to arouse kindness and empathy in our students. Our job is to change the conversation around us from hate to love. Babies are born without prejudice. Hate is learned, and with a lot of effort, hate can be unlearned. It is hard, but people can and do change. We must always respond to hate with love, which is why I'm so thankful for what you're doing here. So if you hear someone espousing, and this is the charge I gave to my congregation, and I will give it to you as well. If you see someone espousing xenophobia, bigotry, racism, anti-Semitism, point it out. As kindly as you can, don't be smug and obnoxious and righteous about it, but as kindly as you can, say something to the effect of, "That kind of talk is not acceptable." Maybe the speaker's not going to change their belief, but the people around them will hear and they will be influenced. Love doesn't mean weakness. Unfortunately, we must always protect our communities. At Temple Shalom, This week we had to take extra safety precautions. In every service now, I make sure people know where exactly the exits are. We have multiple security systems, and now we've started to lock our door. That last part kills me. One of Judaism's main value is hachnasat orachim, the welcoming of the stranger, hospitality. It's our core value. And now our doors are locked. So I want to say, despite our locked doors, if any of you ever want to come, you're more than welcome to come pray with us, to learn with us. It would be a pleasure. Because now is the time, it's always the time, but now especially is the time to come together and help make peace. For each person here, I'm going to ask, in lieu of it, to reach out to someone who's at the margin of your society, or even the margin of your community. Better yet, reach out to someone with whom you've quarreled and make peace. Fight chaos with peace. Fight intolerance with understanding. Fight hate with love.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. We recently also had to lock our doors and put up a fence in the front also to prevent similar nonsensical acts. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Shaheen Zakaria. She represents the interfaith community in the city of Redlands. She's very involved in interfaith activities and really is a true promoter of solidarity.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Good evening. Shalom. My name is Shaheen and I'm actually representing the Redlands Area Interfaith Council here today. And I'm the vice president. Our president, Judy Cannon, wanted to be here, but she's not here. But she sent her message, which she also conveyed at the Temple Emmanuel in Redlands. And I'll read that message to you. If I may be a bit presumptuous, I would like to share a quote from Rabbi David Wolpe, the senior rabbi of Sinai Temple in Los Angeles and one of my favorite thinkers. He wrote, "There is a marvelous story of a man who once stood before God, his heart breaking from the pain and injustice in the world. And he said, 'Dear God, look at all the suffering, the anguish and distress in our world. Why don't you send help?' And God responded, 'I did send help. I sent you.'" Rabbi Wolpe continues, "When we tell our children that story, we must tell them that each one of them was sent to help repair the broken world, and that it is not the task of an instant or of a year, but of a lifetime." To all our Jewish brothers and sisters and Christian and Baha'i and all the other faiths that are here, we want to say that we are all in this together. And an attack at one congregation is an attack at all. It's you today, it can be any one of us in the room tomorrow. She also wrote, "We believe that your presence makes us all better, and tonight we want to join with you in helping to mend our broken world. When we tell our children about this time, we will talk of your courage, your faith, and your love in response to suffering, anguish, and distress of this week. With you, we dedicate our lives to help repair a broken world. Thank you for your commitment to peace. Shalom."
Thank you, Dr. Shaheen. And now, because I think she might have to leave early, I'm going to ask Ms. Rehana, also from the Interfaith organization here in Claremont, Rancho Cucamonga, Ontario area, to come and give a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Shamil. I didn't know I was supposed to speak, so I'm not prepared. They put me on the spot. Anyway, I want to thank all of you all for coming here today. And again, on behalf of the Muslim community of the Inland Empire, I would like to send our sincere, heartfelt condolences to all my Jewish brothers and sisters, my Jewish cousins, to be fair. And everything that has to be said has already been said, so there isn't much I can say. And again, I'm going to say that we are all in this together, and we are here for all of you, whether it be Jews, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Baha'is. We all stand together against this evil act, and if there's anything we, the Muslim community, at this time can do for our Jewish brothers and sisters, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And again, thank you so much for coming.
Some of the passages from the Quran referring to dealing with hardship and situations of difficulty. Surah number 2, ayah 45. Seek God's help with patience, perseverance, and prayer. It is indeed hard except for those who are humble. We know that God hears every prayer, and although his response may not always be what we expected, his answer will always come, and it will be for ultimate good. Through prayer to God, we can also experience solutions. Surah 2, verse 153, O ye who believe, seek help with patience, perseverance, and prayer, for God is with those who patiently persevere. Also from Surah number 2, verses 155 to 157, be sure we will test you with something of fear and hunger, some loss in goods, lives, and the fruits of your toil. But give glad tidings to those who patiently persevere, those who say when afflicted with calamity, to God we belong, and to him is our return. They are those on whom descend blessings from their Lord and mercy. They are the ones who receive guidance. And now I'd like to invite a dear friend from the Adventist community. I work at Loma Linda University Children's Hospital, and I have partnered with Angela many times in different interfaith gatherings. Angela Lee completed her PhD in practical theology at the Claremont School of Theology. She also holds an MBA from the University of Redlands and a master's in clinical ministry from Loma University School of Religion. She is part of the Department of Chaplain Services at Loma University Medical Center, and she's very active in the interfaith community. So I invite Angela to give a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. May God's peace be with each one of us. This is not a difficult week for many of us, and it has been, if you can think about it, it has been a difficult year or two, or even a decade that violence hasn't stopped. Indeed, it actually increased. We don't know why, but we can always think of different reasons, different people, different influences in our society, in our world that created this chaos. But I want to draw to a passage today that as I was driving here, this struck me hard, that this is my prayer, and I hope that this will be all of our prayers. It says, it's in Psalm 91, it says, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. In a time of difficulties and in times of distress and suffering, we sometimes ask the question why, but we sometimes can only really trust that everything will come to good at the end. And we just encourage each other that we will have to have patience and to persevere in whatever circumstances we have to endure. We all are from one heart. We all came from one source, and our strength, our energy, our power, and our empowerment is from one source. Therefore, When one suffer, we all suffer. When one is sad, we all feel the sadness. Therefore, I appreciate the opportunity that we can come here together to join our hearts, to not just grieve, but stand together and put something into action that we are all here together, no matter what religion we're in. For the 11 people who had been killed, each individual is compromised or come from a community of loved ones, of friends, so they each have a community that is grieving the loss. And so we want to join our hearts and pray for those community, those people that are affected, that they will also be able to trust in God. I think that one thing we know for sure is that these kind of incidences will somehow give us fear. And it is the evilness that wants to have that fear in our hearts. So I encourage each one of us that we do not let fear come into us. Yes, we have to lock our doors. Our church is thinking about a similar policy. But please remember that love will cast out all fears. And if we can, each of us, hold out our candles, however bright God let us have that candle, we can shine and make each one see the love and the compassion that God has for us. But when we stand together like this, our lights becomes brighter. So I thank you that we can come to this gathering, that we can kind of have a symbol, can symbolize that we are united and we are holding a light in our corner so that we can have a brighter light for this world. By the grace of God, I hope that we will continue to shine in the glory for God.
Thank you, Angela. We also read in the Old Testament, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Isaiah 41:10. "See now that I myself am he. There is no God besides me. I put to death and I bring to life. I have wounded and I will heal, and no one can deliver out of my hand." Deuteronomy 32:39. So many similarities in the different passages, in the different texts of God. We are not surprised by this. We know that the commonalities exist, and the deeper you dig, the more similarities that you will find. I would like to ask, I don't remember your name, yes, to come up and say a few words, please. You're also part of the interfaith group here in the Inland Empire, if you don't mind. Oh.
I'll introduce myself. I will. Good afternoon. I'm actually from the Chino Valley Interfaith, and but I am involved with interfaith throughout the whole really Southern California area, including Orange County and that area. And Chino Valley Interfaith is, of course, like any interfaith group, all kinds of faiths belong to it. And I happen to represent the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I would like to read a statement that came out from the church right after this horrible, tragic event. And so I'm quoting from an official statement. Excuse me. "We express our deepest grief and solidarity with our Jewish friends around the world after this heinous violence perpetrated against congregants of the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. It is our constant prayer that God will heal and protect those affected by such tragic events. When the security and religious freedom of our Jewish brothers and sisters is violated, we all suffer. Houses of worship should be safe, inviolate, places for people of all faiths to join in sacred fellowship and seek communion with God. We condemn the environment of hate-filled rhetoric that has become so prevalent. Anti-Semitism has no place in our society. It is the responsibility of good people everywhere to speak out and stand up for each other's rights to worship and live peacefully. So with that, I just want to extend my personal, it's very, excuse me, it's very sad because I know so many people, and I don't want to bring a negative feeling, but I know so many people who have suffered through this, as well as other faiths that have suffered. And my heart goes out to each and every one of them. And I pray that things like this we can just grow from, and that we will have more love for one another, since we're all God's children. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to call Mayor Pro Tem Lynn Kennedy up to the podium. Lynn Kennedy is a passionate leader with a lifelong commitment to public service. She's been in the Inland Empire for many years, a graduate of San Bernardino High School. She received her master's degree in school administration from Cal State San Bernardino and a PhD from Claremont Graduate University. Although she retired in 2012, she continues to be active in the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, and she is the Mayor Pro Tem for Rancho Cucamonga.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our mayor, the mayor of Rancho Cucamonga, Dennis Michael, and the entire City Council, I would like to thank you for hosting this prayer of peace in memory of the tragedy at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. This is an opportunity for us to focus on what is good and remind us that there is no community without unity. The last 5 letters in the word community. We stand united in love, not hate. We stand united in peace, not violence. We stand united in acceptance, not intolerance. And we stand united in the tapestry of our diversity. We know that what unites us is stronger than what divides us. Our strength is our diversity. We live in a broken world. Think of this floor covered with shards of glass. And if we were to walk across this floor of glass, and our soles of our feet would be damaged and scarred. So with our mortal souls, if we allow the brokenness of mankind to overcome our souls without the protection, we too would become broken and scarred, damaged people. As the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. So let's protect our bodily souls as we would protect the soles of our feet. Let's cover ourselves with what is good, loving, kind, and pure. Philippians 4:8 says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. This is unity. This is community. We are unity, and we are community. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much. I'm so impressed with the story of Dr. Cohen. Yes, amazing that he would act as he did, a selfless physician doing the best that he can to take care of a patient without judging. I'd like to ask Dr. Aslam Abdallah to come and speak now. Dr. Aslam is a religious scholar. He has a degree in religious Islamic faith, and he's the editor of multiple Islamic papers. Dr. Aslam Abdallah.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, I greet you with the greeting of faith. Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto all of you. This is the first mosque in the United States and in the world that is hosting an event in memory of those people who are often considered hostile to Muslims. I will be honest here. The relations between Jews and Muslims have not been cordial. And there's a lot of misapprehension, a lot of misgivings, because of the politics and the history that has been dominant for the last several years. We have not had the opportunity to sit together, to come together, to make an attempt to understand each other, and to see what contribution we as Muslims and Jews made to the world when we were together in Spain, or when we were together in Turkey, or when we were together in other parts of the world. So this event is not only to recreate that kind of climate and atmosphere that would enable us to understand each other, but to live a religious obligation that Quran, our faith, places upon us when it says وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, that we have given dignity to the children of Adam. And مَنْ قَتَلَ نَفْسٍ بِغَيْرِ نَفْسٍ أَوْ فَسَادٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ كَأَنَّهُ قَتَلَ النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا, that if anyone is killed by someone without any reason and rhyme, then as if he has killed the entire humanity. And we wanted to make the statement that regardless of the tag that we put on human life, every human life is sacred. And it is our responsibility and it is our duty to stand in defense of that human life, whether it is the life of a Baha'i or a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew or even an atheist. It is our responsibility as people who believe in the divine faith that we should stand for that human life. Quran makes it obligatory upon us and tells us, كان الناس أمة واحدة فبعث الله النبيين ومبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق ليحكم بين الناس فيما اختلفوا فيه. All humanity is one because the source of humanity is one, and that is God. Regardless whether we accept or reject our source of origin, we have to respect that human life. And that is the principle that we want to work on. That every human life is sacred. And whenever any human life would be affected, would be challenged, would be destroyed, people who believe in religion, people who believe in God must come together to hold their hands to defend that human life and to stand for that human life. That is the principle that we want to work on. And that is the principle that we want to offer to the interfaith community. That do not distinguish between human life on the basis of the tags that we have placed based on nationalities, based on ethnicities, based on culture, based on faith, because ultimately that human life is given by God. And if we believe in God, then it is our responsibility to stand for the dignity of that human life and for the protection of that human life. What is happening in our country today is something disturbing. Only today I read a news item that is not published anywhere in this country, but that is published from an Israeli newspaper about the statement that is made by a person who is running for the position of a House representative from North Carolina. And this man, without going into the party and religion and all those kind of things, says that if Jews and Muslims do not convert to Christianity, there would be no peace for them. And few days ago, I read another statement by a legislator from Washington who said that we would impose biblical laws in this country, and if those laws are not followed by people who reject Jesus, we would kill their male members. It is this politics that we have to fight together. It is this kind of rhetoric that is basically creating a problem for us. Muslims are insignificant in this country, less than 0.1%, less than 1%. In Congress, not more than 2. In the overall legislative assemblies, not more than 30. Insignificant beings, whether in councils and other places. But the people who would suffer the most as a result of this hatred are the people of the Jewish community, because they are being targeted, are the people of color, because they are being seen as invaders and presented and projected as invaders and minorities. And that's why we want to say that we are together and we are side by side in the struggle for the survival of those groups. We do not take these kind of threats lightly. We believe in the judicial system and we believe in the state authority, but we still know that these kind of peoples can create conditions that would affect the life and the dignity of the individuals in different parts of the country. And that is what our commitment is. And that's what we wanted to assure. So we open the house of worship. This is the most sacred place for Muslim, where we pray. We open this to assure all others that we are together. Accept our words as we speak. We are not speaking as a result of political expediency. We are expressing these ideas as part of our faith, as part of our commitment to human dignity, as part of our commitment to human life. And that is what is significant in this kind of event. The other thing that is also very important is that we would not be able to solve all the problems and all the theological and the political differences that we have accumulated over centuries. But there are certain areas that we can all come together to help each other. There are a lot of issues in this country pertaining to healthcare, pertaining to homelessness, pertaining to poverty, pertaining to crimes, pertaining to violence, in which all of us can hold each other's hand and work together. We hardly know each other. We don't know what the traditions of the Jews and the Christians are in terms of all those issues. And similarly, they also do not know what our traditions and what our views are on those things. It is time that we break those kind of barriers and come together to understand each other. So it would not be, far-fetched to think that perhaps a day would come when our Jewish and the Christian communities would invite us to their congregation so that we can tell who we are. And we would invite them to our congregation to tell us who they are and how we can come together. Perhaps it would not be a far-fetched idea to think that we will be seen together by the people in the streets, that we care for homelessness, we care for the people who are poor, we care for those people who have been marginalized, we care for those people who have been deprived of their dignity and their rights. It's not an issue against one religion on another. It's a question against, it's a struggle against bigotry, against racism, against hatred that have been created as a result of misunderstanding on the part of certain individuals who do not understand the real nature of the faith, who do not understand the real nature of the message that their messengers, whether it was Jesus, Moses, or Prophet Muhammad, has brought to us. And that is what our commitment is. We hope that we will work together, and then we will be together in the end. I would recite the last one of the verses of the Quran to conclude it. Wallahu yad'u ila dar salam. God invites you to the abode of peace, and that is what we commit ourselves in the gathering today. Thank you very much. And with
Please don't forget to sign in and also leave your email so we can start generating this list of unity together on your way out. We don't often think about the uniqueness that we have here in our country, that we can have this type of event together. There's so many countries around the world that such a gathering would not be possible, that there are too many divisions, too many walls, unfortunately, that have been put up. Here in the United States, we have this opportunity, and we should take full advantage of it, that we can come together in our different places of worship, that our doors are open, that we are in solidarity to speak out against these crimes of racism and hatred. So remember to go vote on this week so that you can make your choice known. I'd like to invite Sohaila Azizi to come and speak now. She has been practicing law in Los Angeles and in the Empire for more than 20 years. Her firm, the Law Office of Sohaila S. Azizi, is primarily a family law practice. She currently serves on the panel of mediators for Inland Valley Arbitration and Mediation Services in Rancho Cucamonga. She served as judge pro tem in small claims, and she is a member of the Upland Interfaith Committee and now serves as the president of the Upland Interfaith Committee here in our local region. Please.
Thank you very much, and let me thank all the organizers of this wonderful gathering for their efforts in bringing us together. And as our eloquent speaker was talking about far-fetched ideas, came to my mind that close to 40 years ago, when I fled my country of birth for fear of persecution with my family, did I ever believe that I would be standing in a mosque and have a Muslim speaker mention the word Baha'i, let alone be asked to offer from the Baha'i scripture? So in my mind, I'm blown away. We've come a long ways. Yet, thoughts of rigidity, thoughts of dogma, thoughts of old traditions that continue to haunt us are still with us. And as our previous speaker so eloquently mentioned, we have a lot of work to do. As tragedy often brings us together and we think about doing things about our unity, it's too bad that it's not our everyday work. And this is the plea that I want to make to all of us. Some of us who are here, this is preaching to the choir. The ones who are out there who don't attend these type of gatherings are really the audience that need to hear words of unity, words of togetherness, words of faith and being part of one human family. So when I stand before you in solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters, I stand in solidarity on behalf of every member of the human family. I'm here as a member of the Baha'i community. But in my unofficial roles, I'm a member of the human family. I'm a member of the interfaith community who has now learned that faith is not a limiting criteria for those of us who want to come together. You don't have to have necessarily the faith that I think is a good faith or is a faith of God, but many students in universities who consider themselves agnostics or even atheists, they belong to this human family. So again, my pledge is not to just come together because we can tolerate each other or we can like each other, because we do have some common things in each other's beliefs. My pledge and my plea to all of you is that we come together in the name of oneness. And oneness goes way beyond unity, because if one member is not united with the rest of us, then we have disunity. So I'm not working anymore towards unity. I'm working towards oneness. We have created movements around different towns, and we're going to different cities and talking to leaders and say, please come together in the name of oneness. And that is what I'm here for understanding the essence of our Creator. Could it be God? Could it be Allah? Could it be Yehovah? Could be no names. But it's that power that moves all of us to good action. In that name, I call on all of us towards that oneness, towards that spirit of love that makes us move towards action. So with that, I'm honored to have been asked to offer something from the Baha'i scripture. And just to let you know, Baha'is have suffered religious persecution for the 175 years of their existence. And that is not just by bigots and religious hate groups, but it's as tolerated by the governments. In some countries, the governments tolerate and condone the conduct of persecuting and executing Baha'is. So we feel to our bones and blood with our brothers and sisters everywhere in the world where they're victims of religious persecution or religious bigotry or hate, which is that common thread that binds all issues of racism, gender inequality, and all that sets us apart from each other. So I'd like to offer this prayer for peace. O thou kind Lord, thou hast created all humanity from the same stock. Thou hast decreed that all shall belong to the same household. In thy holy presence, they are all thy servants, and all mankind are sheltered beneath thy tabernacle. All have gathered together at thy table of bounty. All are illumined through the light of thy providence. O God, thou art kind to all. Thou hast provided for all. Thou shelter all, conferst life upon all. Thou hast endowed each and all with talents and faculties, and all are submerged in the ocean of thy mercy. O thou kind Lord, unite all. Let all religions agree and make the nations one, so that they may see each other as one family and the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind. O God, establish the most great peace. Cement thou, O God, the hearts together. O thou kind Father God, gladden our hearts through the fragrance of thy love. Brighten our eyes through the light of thy guidance. Delight our ears with the melody of thy word. And shelter us all in the stronghold of thy providence. Thou art the mighty and the powerful. Thou art the forgiving, and thou art the one who overlooketh the shortcomings of all mankind. Abdul Baha. Thank you.
I'd like to open up the floor for anyone else who would like to share any feelings or any experiences they've had over the last, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalam. It's kind of interesting. I was just driving by. I'm a Muslim. My name is Ronald Henderson, and I come to this mosque off and on, and also the mosque in Corona Nokra Mosque. And I didn't know that this is going on, so I just came in to do the Asa prayer, and I came into this gathering. It's wonderful to hear each and every one who's just been stood up to this podium to be able to speak, each one of different faith, interfaith, and of education background. I don't know too much about the tragedy because I haven't been paying too much attention to the news. But just like a woman just said a minute ago, sadly, this is going to happen again. And by being a person of knowledge and study, because I've read the Quran, I read the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Torah, and we all share something in common. But if you understand the history and the climate of change that's going on now, these circumstances are happening quite often. And if you look at it, it's happening in the cycle. We can go back a couple years ago, the San Bernardino shooting, a year ago, the Las Vegas shooting, a couple years back, the shooting in Florida, the gay and lesbian bar. This thing happens in the cycles. Every 90 days, it happens. And even law enforcement, they're talking to the communities now. They call it active shooters. So they're talking to schools, they're talking to any places of business, they're telling people police engage this type of situation now. They deal with people with active shooters. They don't wait, bring the SWAT community in, they come in and engage with active shooters because this thing is occurring frequently over and over again. And sadly, it's going to occur again. And I've heard people talk about the dialogue, well, what should we do about different faiths? We can't change that overnight. But what we can start doing today, and I've learned myself contemplating on studying, and what I found out that the individuals that do this, whether it's hate, through racism, or bigotry, they don't like themselves. And until we learn to love ourselves, if a person loves their self, they can't do harm to another individual. And I'm just surprised there's no one from the Native American community here, because I do a lot of study on the Native American philosophy and history. And there's an Iroquois saying that said that what we do will affect 7 generations to come. And we're walking on the faces of those yet to come. And there's a Navajo saying that says to walk in beauty, there's beauty below, there's beauty above, there's beauty in the 4 directions. And so when you're a person of faith and love, and you have love and giving out that spirit and that vibration, you don't have hatred or animosity towards another person of another faith, of another race, or another gender. And until we start dealing with that every day, teaching our children in our communities, we're going to continue to have this problem. I live in Rubidoux, and even here in Rancho Cucamonga, this is a beautiful city. I love the city. It's a beautiful environment, parks, but you can see the homeless people. I call them the invisible people that we don't pay attention to. You see them every day, but you don't see them. And these people are hurting, suffering, and people that have mental health illnesses, or people that have suicidal thoughts. This country is in the turmoil, and we need to bring the healing of love. And in each one of these faiths, in the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah, it talks about healing. The Quran talks about healing. The Quran is a healing to each one. And whether it's through invocation, supplication, or incantation, we have to bring healing back to our community, into our environment, into the world. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you very much.
And now I'd like to call Naveen up to the podium again, please.
So, as I sat here listening to everyone speak, it dawned on me that there's a couple of verses in the Quran actually that talk about calamities, and In the Quran, God says, "Be sure we shall test you with something of fear and hunger, some loss in goods, lives, and the fruit of your toil. But give glad tidings to those who patiently persevere, those who say, when afflicted with a calamity, 'To God we belong, and to him our return.' They are those with whom descend the blessings from their Lord and his mercy, and they are the ones that receive guidance." You know, it's so true. We will all be, faced with some kind of either an illness or a loss of money or a loss of a child or a loss of a family member. In this case, some very special people that lost their life senselessly. But in the Quran, God also says, and to echo the scriptures that Shamal quoted, "Ala bizikrillah tatma'in al-qulub." Is it not by the mention of God that we find solace? And it's truly through faith that we will find healing. And I thank every single one of you who said your beautiful words, because they're so relevant today and they're so profound. The Islamic Center of Pittsburgh, as I mentioned earlier, partnered with the Tree of Life Synagogue. They raised money actually for the victims, and as of, I believe, a few days ago, they had raised $190,000 as a fund for the victims. Today, in our small way, we're very far away, and it's been a week, but in our small way, on behalf of the Islamic Center of the Inland Empire, my fellow board members that are here, Dr. Nader Khan and Brother Dayan Meyer, we'd like to donate and dedicate $750 towards that fund. And so I'll be, we'll be talking and finding a way to get the funds over to them if you give me the information. But we wanted to do our part here to show our solidarity and our commitment to standing up to this hate. Again, thank you very much on behalf of all of you, on behalf of our oneness. I love that. On behalf of our unity, on behalf of our cousinship, our brotherhood, our fellowship. Thank you very much for being here tonight. You go in peace. Assalamu alaikum, shalom. You are always welcome, and our doors are always open, and we stand together as one, united against this. So thank you very much.
Going to invite another board member, Dr. Nader, to come up and say a few words. Time change makes it seem a lot later, doesn't it?
Can you hear me? Because I have my own microphone. Our places of worship are our sanctuary. These are the safest places of the world that we go. And to find out today that synagogue, mosques, and churches have been locked is unimaginable. Our doors should be open 24 hours. Anybody can walk in any time, but that is not happening. By education and vocation, I am a biologist. One thing which I want you to reflect upon: diversity is the essence of life and nature. And can you imagine a world where all of us look alike? Can you imagine a world where all the animals look alike? Can you imagine a world where there was only one kind of flower or one kind of tree? So, this diversity is what nature wants. we look different. That's why we speak different languages. That's why we dress differently. That's why we eat different foods. The Quran openly says that is the way to learn from each other. If there was no diversity, life would be very dark. And what has happened over the years, I've been in this country more than 50 years. And the atmosphere has become so toxic. Can you imagine a person so full of hatred that he would walk into a house of worship and kill absolutely innocent people? And as we go through life, we never imagine as a perfect stranger. It will bring our life to an end. We all think we will die naturally. But that did not happen in Pittsburgh. So, it is unimaginable. People who have so much hatred in them. But God works in very strange ways. Day after tomorrow, we have an opportunity given to us to change the toxic nature of this country. And we should all use that opportunity to bring about the change we want to see. I came to this country when John Kennedy was President of the United States. I know who is the President today. So we need to use our opportunity to change Islam if we can. And on behalf of the Islamic Center of Indian Empire, we really appreciate your coming and giving us the opportunity to get to know each other, and hopefully the relationship large and become more grateful. Thank you very much for coming.
And now I'd like to conclude the official program. We do have food available in the multi-purpose room. All of you are welcome to join us. I'd like to share a few passages again from the Quran. Patiently then persevere, for the promise of God is true, and ask forgiveness for your faults, and celebrate the praise of your Lord in the evening and in the morning. Chapter 40, verse 55. It is not righteousness that you turn your faces towards the east or the west, but it is righteousness to believe in God on the last day, and the angels and the book and the messengers, to spend of your substance out of love for him, for your kin, for orphans, for the needy, for the wayfarer, for those who ask, and for the ransom of slaves, to be steadfast in prayer and give in charity, to fulfill the contracts which you have made, to be firm and patient in pain and adversity, and throughout all periods of panic. Such are the people of truth, the God-fearing. Chapter 2, verse 177. If we could all join together in prayer. Dear God, we ask for your blessings on this gathering. We ask you to guide us in our connection. We ask you to help us join together to speak out against these atrocities and to give patience and comfort to the families of those who lost their loved ones. We ask you, God, to continue to promote unity amongst us and to help us to be together in our times of need. We ask you, God, to keep us with hope, to keep us with love, to keep us with rejoicing in your name. We ask you, God, to help guide us. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you for the opportunity to be here together. We thank you for our health, for our families, for our sustenance. We ask you to continue to be with us wherever we may go and to increase our gatherings of such interfaith connection so that we learn from each other and may learn together how to worship you. In your name, amen. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. May God protect you as you go home. We appreciate your joining us here tonight. Be safe in your travels, and we hope to see each other soon again, God willing.